Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1948BN. Today's date is August 20th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Voter Manipulation Message Sent and Received. Why Greenland? Now, before we get started, we've been talking about protecting your devices, protecting yourself from big tech. I mean, it's the year 2019, and if you're not using a VPN by now on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device while you browse the internet, then you're really exposing yourself to a lot of potential danger. Here, let me show you how easy this is. Click Connect. Once I'm connected, my IP address is now different than before. See? This month, Virtual Shield is offering a 4th of July celebration special. Sign up for free for 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is all about. You have nothing to lose. Click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, yesterday's report, we were talking about Greenland, how Trump wasn't the first president to suggest that we should purchase Greenland. And we know that Greenland has a lot of natural resources. Militarily, it's a strategic position. And Trump is continually pushing the idea that something is going on with Greenland. He tweeted out saying, hey, I'm not going to do this to Greenland. And he had his Trump Tower on there. And at first I thought it was a distraction. But then I started to think, well, Trump just doesn't mention something just to mention it. There's always a reason. And with 8chan down right now and Q not giving us information, I said, let's take a look at Greenland. What is Greenland? What has been going on with Greenland? And we're going to be discussing this a little bit later in this report. But first, I wanted to talk about John Solomon. And he's saying that the FBI knowingly, and there's that word again, knowingly, misled the FISA court. Let's go back to post 3485 right now. And down below, and this whole post is talking about Adam Schiff, that he knowingly, did something. He leaked the information knowingly. But down below, Q says knowingly, all caps, bold, and brackets, knowingly. Q does this three times. And this is very curious because now John Solomon is out there saying that the FBI knowingly misled the FISA court. And he was being interviewed by Lou Dobbs, and he said, I think where we are going to go next is the emergence of very strong evidence that the FBI knowingly and willfully misled the FISA court, and the U.S. intelligence agencies may have also been involved in what Bill Barr calls political surveillance. That's spying. And I guess that's going to be the new term, political surveillance. And it's a term, he said, I've never heard before. He chooses his words clearly. The term political surveillance could become very popular this fall. And they expect that this report will be coming out mid-September to early October. Now, is this the exact day and time? No. Remember, they're always pushing disinformation to keep the deep state off track of what they're really doing. Remember, they have this set up to come out at the exact moment they need it. Timing is everything. Now, I want to go back to Seth Rich because more information is coming out. And we first reported, and this is from the Gateway Pundit, we first reported in late July that Texas businessman Ed Putowski filed a lawsuit where he outed reporter Ellen Ratner as a source for information on Seth Rich. The DNC operative was murdered in the summer of 2016 in Washington, D.C. His murder was never solved. And according to the lawsuit, Seth Rich provided WikiLeaks the DNC emails before the 2016 election, not Russia. This totally destroys the FBI and Mueller's claim that Russians hacked the DNC to obtain these emails. Now, on November 9, 2016, Ellen Ratner admitted publicly that she met with Julian Assange. She spoke with him for 3 hours, and he told her that I didn't get my information from the Russians. It was from someone with inside the DNC. Take a listen to what she said.
went after Hillary.
WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks. Yeah, excuse me.
By the way, just FYI,
I got to take a WikiLeaks.
I spent 3 hours with Julian Assange on Saturday at the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Listen to this. Go ahead.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
But one of the things he did say is that the leaks were not from, they were not from the Russians. They were an internal source from the Hillary campaign or from somebody that knew Hillary, an enemy. He does not think they're from Russians. And he said Russia got credit for something WikiLeaks should have gotten credit for.
Now, she was very, very clear that it was not the Russians. It was someone from inside the DNC. Now, Ty Clevenger requested and obtained documents from the FBI related to their case, which we were able to analyze. And they obtained the transcript from former FBI Chief of Staff James Rubicki, where he states that the Obama White House was the entity that was pushing the Russia conspiracy as early as October 2016. Newly released documents from the FBI suggest that Obama's White House pushed intelligence agencies to publicly blame the Russians for email leaks from the DNC to WikiLeaks. Now we have more information. When Ty Clevenger requested documents from the FBI related to any investigation to the death of Seth Rich, they replied that they never investigated Seth Rich and they don't even have any records on them. But when documents were requested from the NSA, they replied that they won't release their records regarding Seth Rich because it's a matter of national security. So wait a minute. They never investigated, but the NSA won't release the documents because of national security concerns. So that tells us that someone did investigate this, and they looked into the Seth Rich murder, and now they're holding these documents behind closed doors for a specific reason. And that brings us to Post 1591. This is June 2018. Anon says, Seth Rich and Julian Assange in June. Anything? Q says, Julian Assange in the news. Think James Comey. Server unlocks Seth Rich. MS-13. Second 187 nearby. Phones unlock command and control. ETA estimated it has begun. So from this and everything that we've been seeing is they have the information already, and it looks like they were able to get information from phones. They were unlocked, and they gathered certain information. They knew it was an MS-13 gang member. And remember, Julian Assange, he's going to help show the world that it wasn't the Russians who hacked the DNC. This is why the judge threw out the case already. All of this is going to happen. And I do believe that this part is going to happen in 2020. So let's move on to Epstein. Remember the pic of Maxwell at the In-N-Out burger place? Well, it turns out, and this is coming from the Daily Mail, that this photo was staged with her close friend and attorney, Leah Safian. And one of the photos of Maxwell even had Safian's dog Dexter posing with her. Now, a lot of people looked at these photos and said, yeah, there's a lot of anomalies with this photo. It makes no sense whatsoever. And they looked a little bit closer at it, and they looked at the photograph's metadata, and the photograph is tagged with Meadowgate. Now, the Meadowgate Media Investments, Inc., Safian is the president. And this is according to public records. So why did they stage this photo? Think about it. The FBI, Department of Justice, and everyone else, no one knew where she was. She was in hiding for 3 years, and all of a sudden, this photo just appeared, and she's reading this book about CIA operatives. Again, we got to go back to, was she putting out a message to the deep state? What was the message, and why were they putting it out there? And it seems like that this was some type of message. Now, yesterday, we were talking about how Trump tweeted out the following, and let me read the tweet. Wow, report just out. Google manipulated from 2.6 million to 16 million votes for Hillary Clinton in 2016 election. This was put out by a Clinton supporter, not a Trump supporter. Google should be sued. My victory was even bigger than thought. And then said at Judicial Watch. Now, Trump was referring to the following, and Trump War Room tweeted this out, and it says, Dr. Robert Epstein, who was a Hillary Clinton supporter, testified to the U.S. Senate that Google's search engine was able to manipulate votes in 2016 on a massive scale, at least 2.6 million votes. Take a listen to Dr. Robert Epstein.
Dr. Epstein, I found your testimony incredibly powerful and incredibly concerning. And if anyone draws news out of this hearing, I would encourage you to review very carefully Dr. Epstein's testimony. And I'd like to take a moment to make clear several things. First of all, as I understand your background, you're not a Republican and nor are you a conservative. Is that accurate?
That would be an understatement.
And indeed, you're the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today.
Correct.
So you're a respected academic. You testified before this committee that Google's manipulation of votes gave at least 2.6 million additional votes to Hillary Clinton in the year 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I want to make sure I understand. You personally supported and voted for Hillary Clinton.
I was a very strong public supporter of Hillary Clinton, yes.
So you're not dismayed that people voted for her, but your testimony is that Google is, through bias in search results, manipulating voters in a way they're not aware of.
On a massive scale. And what I'm saying is that I believe in democracy, I believe in the free and fair election, more than I have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, you said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
In 2020, if all these companies are supporting the same candidate, there are 15 million votes on the line that can be shifted without people's knowledge and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
Now, you described the Go Vote reminder, and you said it wasn't a public service announcement, but rather manipulation. Can you explain how? I'm not sure everyone followed the details of that.
Well, sure. If on Election Day in 2016, if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had chosen to send out a Go Vote reminder, say just to Democrats, and no one would have known if he had done this, that would have given that day an additional at least 450,000 votes to Democrats. And we know this without doubt because of Facebook's own published data, because they did an experiment that they didn't tell anyone about during the 2010 election. They published it in 2012. It had 60 million Facebook users involved. They sent out a Go Vote reminder, and they got something like 360,000 more people to get off their sofas and go vote who otherwise would have stayed home. The point is, I don't think that Mr. Zuckerberg sent out that reminder in 2016. I think he was overconfident. I think Google was overconfident. All these companies were. I don't think he sent that out. Without monitoring systems in place, we'll never know what these companies are doing. But the point is, in 2018, I'm sure they were more aggressive. We have lots of data to support that. And in 2020, you can bet that all of these companies are going to go all out. And the methods that they're using are invisible. They're subliminal. They're more powerful than most any effects I've ever seen in the behavioral sciences. And I've been in the behavioral sciences for almost 40 years.
Now, as you can see, Dr. Robert Epstein was looking at this, and they've been studying this for a very long time. And he has all the data, he has the facts, and he's letting Congress know that there is a problem with big tech companies. Now, what's very interesting is that Hillary Clinton decided to respond to Trump, which shows us that she's in a bit of a panic right now. Her tweet is as follows. The debunked study you're referring to was based on 21 undecided voters. For context, that's about half the number of people associated with your campaign who have been indicted. Now, she's saying that this whole thing was debunked. Now, if you listen to Dr. Robert Epstein, he's saying that this number of 2.6 million is much, much more than that. So think about what she's saying. Yes, we know there were people indicted, had nothing to do with Russian collusion. Actually, they committed these crimes before Trump, and other individuals just lied to Congress. So what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. But Dr. Epstein decided to respond to Clinton. Now remember, they were friends. And he decided, I'm going to respond to this. He said in a tweet, I am a big Hillary supporter, but my 2016 monitoring findings were based on an analysis of 13,207 election-related searches, along with the 98,044 web pages to which the search results linked. The pro-Hillary bias was significant at the 0.001 level. And Epstein didn't stop there. He also said the following. Also, sorry, Hillary, I'm a fan, so I really hate correcting you, but to my knowledge, no credible authority has ever debunked either my 2016 and 2018 election monitoring projects or my controlled studies on internet influence. And then he continued. Also, when the CEO of Google testified before Congress in December 2018 that we take issue with Epstein's methodology, that was hardly a debunking. Monitoring systems are our only true protection against big tech. And he tweeted out one more time. At Hillary Clinton, whom I have strongly supported for many years, told blatant lies about me today. As a result, I have been subjected to widespread condemnation by mainstream media. I'm going to fight this. Stay tuned tomorrow for my first ever Twitter storm. So Dr. Epstein is hitting back at Hillary. Trump is bringing this up. There's always a reason. What are they getting ready for? They're getting ready for voter ID. They're in the process of explaining how voter manipulation takes place. And it's just not one way. Big tech is manipulating voting. Illegal immigrants coming into the country are manipulating the votes. Having voters on the voting roll, millions of people, is another way of manipulating the votes. You put all this together, this is millions and millions of people. Strip all that out. What do you get? You get honest elections. And if you add in voter ID, guess what? They're locked down. Now, very interestingly, Planned Parenthood, it seems that they're defunding themselves by withdrawing as a Title X recipient. They were getting about $60 million a year under Title X, and now they decided that they weren't going to go along with Trump's rules, and they decided to withdraw as a Title X family planning recipient rather than comply with the new rule. Now, the question is, did Trump trick them into defunding themselves? I do believe so. And we need to go back to post 2686, because this is a little bit larger than everyone thinks. And if you remember what it was all about, you'll understand what I'm saying here. In post 2686, this is back in February 2019, it says, why do D's push to fund Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood is in bold brackets, all caps, using taxpayer dollars, $500 million a year. Where does the money go? Past political donations of Planned Parenthood. What is the process of disposal? RE aborted fetus. What regulations, who monitors are in place to ensure that the process is being followed? Why is there a new push by D's to legalize late-term abortions? See past drops, Planned Parenthood, Congressional Report, warning, graphic. This has nothing to do with women's rights to choose. Tactic they deploy when challenged to activate liberal media hysteria. The focus is on the organization itself. Ask yourself a very simple question. Given the amount of evidence demonstrating illegal and disturbing activities by Planned Parenthood, Where is the FBI investigation? It's nowhere. What senior political officials are providing cover for Planned Parenthood? Will action be taken? Take a look at 2019. And they fund this money through Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood gives it back to the Democratic Party. This is how their system works. And Q told us to look at 2019 because there's going to be news, and there is news. Now, in the beginning of the report, I said that Trump said he wanted to buy Greenland. We mentioned this yesterday. And the mainstream media, other politicians, they're making jokes about it. But Trump doesn't come out with these things just to come out with them. When he came out with Obama spying on me, it wasn't just to say, oh, he was spying on me. He was talking about treason. He was talking about crimes, not just against him, but many, many people. He was bringing attention to the whole apparatus. Now, when he mentions Greenland, why is he mentioning Greenland? Now, he tweeted out today, I promise not to do this to Greenland. Now, of course, he's trolling. It's Trump Tower on Greenland, and there's little houses around it, and it looks, and the ground is all dirt and everything, and it looks obscene. And he's playing with everyone. He continually wants us to look at Greenland. So when we start to look at Greenland, and let's go down the rabbit hole here, we learn of a project called Iceworm. Now, Project Iceworm was a top-secret United States Army program of the Cold War, which aimed to build a network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet. The ultimate objective of placing medium-range missiles under the ice, close enough to strike targets within the Soviet Union, was kept secret from the government of Denmark to study the feasibility of working under the ice. A highly publicized cover project known as Camp Sentry was launched in the 60s. So they called it Camp Sentry, but there was Project Iceworm, which they were working on, which they were going to house these portable nuclear power plants and store the missiles. Details of the missile-based project were secret for decades, but first came to light in January of 1995 during an inquiry by the Danish Foreign Policy Institute into the history of the use and storage of nuclear weapons in Greenland. The inquiry was ordered by Parliament of the Kingdom of Denmark following the release of previously classified information about the 1968 Airbase B-52 crash that contradicted previous assertions by the government of Denmark. So this is very interesting. Let's fast forward to 2011. The CIA was using the Danish airspace to transport terrorism suspects to secret jails, and they were using Greenland. So there's evidence that flights took place and was put forth in a 2008 documentary aired on public broadcaster DR. According to the broadcast, the CIA used the airport in Greenland when transporting prisoners. An American diplomatic cable released by WikiLeaks the same year indicated that the Danish government had turned a blind eye to the flights. Now that's very interesting. They also used Greenland, and this came out in 2013, as a hub to spy on different countries, to get weather information, and this all included photos, telecommunications, and everything else. Now, they said they were using Greenland to spy on the Middle East. What happens if the CIA was using this area to spy on the U.S. and politicians and other countries? This is very interesting. So we have possibly a nuclear missile site under the ice. We're not sure if the project is still operational, and it's the CIA still has this operational. We understand that they brought flights in, and this had to do with their prisoner exchange. We also understand that they use Greenland as their base to spy on different countries and individuals. Now, the European Council and the European Parliament have suspected 35 aircraft of being connected with the CIA's secret prisoner program. Flight plans from Greenland's aviation authority show that 1 in 3 of the 35 suspected aircraft has landed in Greenland, and even more have flown through Danish airspace. DR's investigation showed that several of the aircraft are operated out of Little Airport in Johnston County, North Carolina, which the CIA has used as a point of departure for its flights in the secret prisoner program. The flight plans also reveal that the aircraft had landed in the CIA's secret training base in Camp Peary Department of Defense training facility for covert operation beside the York River near Williamsburg, Virginia. Only aircraft associated with the American military can land in this area. Now, the aircraft, they also flew prisoners, and I don't know if it's really prisoners, it could be other individuals, to countries like Egypt, Jordan, Romania, Afghanistan, and the rest. Each airport the CIA has used for the transports has been an important piece in the jigsaw puzzle to get the prisoner program to function. So they were moving these individuals around the Middle East, and they used Greenland as a hub. They also used it as a spying hub. They also had this project Iceworm, where there was underground tunnels where they had nuclear missiles. Now, is Trump trying to say that this is still operational and the CIA, the clowns, are still using Greenland for all of this? It could be. We'll have to wait to see. Now, what's very interesting is that Scott Morrison in Australia has taken inspiration from Trump, and he pledges to drain the swamp. And he set the order to the public service to embrace change and get out of the way of government. And he launched his own version of Trump's promise to drain the swamp with a sharp offensive against public servants and lobbyists. And it looks like this whole thing is spreading. And you can see there's protests everywhere. Leaders, they are now changing. Look at Italy right now. It looks like the Italian leader, Conte, resigns. And now look who's in control. Salvini, he's the man in the spotlight. There are big changes happening around the world. And it's happening a little bit at a time. And it's spreading. Now, Trump, he is making huge progress in ending the endless wars in the Middle East. We know that there's a peace deal going on with Afghanistan with the Taliban. And it looks like the proposed deal right now would involve the removal of approximately 5,000 to 14,000 U.S. troops currently stationed in Afghanistan. And Trump tweeted out, this is on the 16th, the following: just completed a very good meeting on Afghanistan. Many on the opposite side of this 19-year war, and us are looking to make a deal if possible. And this is telling me that they're very, very close in announcing that we have a peace deal and we're removing troops from Afghanistan. The deep state who set all of this up in Afghanistan, tried to set it up in Syria, Libya, Iraq, Lebanon, Sudan, you name it, it is all falling apart. Trump is reversing everything. These endless wars are coming to an end. The deep state right now, they are desperate. Look what Trump and the Patriots have been doing. They're cracking down on voter manipulation. This is going to be trouble for them. Trump is building the wall along the southern border. This is going to be a problem for the deep state. Trump is ending the endless wars in the Middle East, which means their petrodollar system is going to be coming to an end. All their covert funding and their covert operations coming to an end. There's a peace deal in Afghanistan, which means the poppy fields, which they use to pay for their covert operations by selling opium across the world, is coming to an end. Trump is now pointing to Greenland. I believe the clowns have an operation in Greenland right now, a black site where they're maneuvering and pushing operations out of this area. Trump is bringing attention to Greenland. Trump is also defunding Planned Parenthood. All those funds coming to the D Party, that's being cut off. Trump is removing all the globalist trade deals, hitting the Fed very, very hard, making them responsible for the economy if it goes down. Trump, the patriots, they're in complete control. They're changing everything the deep state did, and there's nothing the deep state can do. The next step is to declass, is to FISA. Look how much control, look how much more power they have. All the deep state has left is the mainstream media. What are they pushing? Propaganda. Racism, white nationalists, just propaganda, no facts behind it. This is why the patriots are leaking the Freedom of Information Act requests documentation out to the public. They want the documentation out there. They want the facts out there. They want the public to understand that these are now facts. It's not rumors. It's not someone saying it. These are hard facts. The deep state, they are in trouble. They understand this. They know this. And if you notice, they're having a hard time pushing their narrative. It's getting harder and harder every single day. And the patriots are doing this on purpose. They're squeezing everything out of them. Now, yes, they might have another event. Yes, they might be able to pull something off. But guess what? It's not going to work. They are doomed. And the next step, like I just said, is to start the trials. Start to show the American people what these individuals have done. And I do believe that is coming very, very soon. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.